Hi guys, I'm Eric, and welcome back to Canada Casino, your guide for online gambling. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to improve your online poker skills. Whether you're new to the scene, or you've played a bit but haven't gotten great results, I'm going to go over some of the tips and pointers that will surely make you a better player. Firstly, I'd like to go over some of the major differences between online poker and live poker. Although they are fundamentally the same game, there are some major differences that you'll need to consider if you want to improve your skills. The first biggest and most obvious difference is that you aren't sitting down with any other people. It's just you and your screen together with other players from around the world. Although it is true that online gaming is the norm these days, it specifically affects how poker works, since it's a game which is heavily based on your ability to study and read people. Since you can't see anybody's body or face, your ability to read body language is completely nullified, and you'll have to rely on other methods to outsmart your opponents. Most importantly, this includes studying your opponent's betting patterns and hand history. If you want any sort of edge, you'll need to pay attention and note down the behavioral patterns of everybody at the table in order to predict their next move. This might seem complicated to keep track of, but since you're not sitting at a poker table, you can simply take out a notebook and jot things down as they happen. This will guarantee that you'll have some sort of understanding of each player's tactics. I personally suggest noting down things such as your opponent's cards if they're revealed in the showdown, so you can have their hand history, their betting amounts, and the time it takes for them to perform an action. Once you have these three elements nailed down, you can start cross-comparing them and roughly predict their next steps. The second difference is the speed of play. Most online poker games have a timer that is pretty fast, so it doesn't leave you much time to think. In order to overcome this challenge and avoid making the wrong decisions out of pressure, you'll need to be prepared to know exactly which hands you're ready to play. Setting a range of poker hands to play with and keeping it slightly flexible is the key to knowing when to jump into the game and avoid bleeding your chips. The third and final major difference I'd like to mention is that you're better off playing by using good strategy based on math rather than trying to trick your opponents too much. Since you can't see the other players and they can't see you, often you'll find yourself failing when trying to make a huge bluff or attempting to pull off some kind of ruse. Part of what makes a bluff work is your body language and the confidence you show when raising or making a bet. Without the visual aid to influence your opponent's actions, they will most likely go on playing as they normally would. Bluffing is still possible in online poker, of course, but it has more to do with the betting amounts and the speed in which you place them. Just to be safe, I strongly advise playing the math rather than trying to trick your opponents. Number 2, where to play. Now that we've covered the major differences between live and online play, I'd like to address the following question. What's the best site or app to play on? Well, the answer isn't so straightforward. As you may have guessed, there are tons and tons of them all over the internet, and it can be pretty confusing to understand which are the best places to start playing. So, instead of me giving you actual websites, I'm going to suggest what you look for on an online poker platform to know if it's worth your time. The first tip is obvious but important, and that's to be careful of fake casinos and scams. Unfortunately, the internet is full of legitimate looking casinos and poker sites, which are in reality just trying to steal your money. Your best bet is to play on the more popular and reputable websites, and always do your research before depositing any real money on any of them. My second tip is to try and avoid low stakes tables. Now, while it's clearly the best place to start, it's definitely the worst place for players who take the game seriously. This is simply because, since the stakes are lower, your opponents are more likely to play randomly, throwing their chips around and trolling you by going all in for no reason. Once you get the hang of online poker and you're starting to get a little better at it, I strongly suggest playing on higher stakes tables where you'll find more serious players. Number 3, tools that'll help you win. Last but definitely not least, I'd like to quickly go over some tools and software that you can use to be better prepared for online poker. As I mentioned before, the biggest advantage of online poker is that you can do whatever you want behind your screen and nobody will know, if you catch my drift. Taking notes, for example, as I recommended in the beginning of the video, can be done directly in the notepad on your computer, or even with a good old-fashioned pen and paper to leave no digital traces. Some online poker providers actually include note-taking and hand histories in the interface itself, so you can access them right there and then. Aside from the tools that are already included in the software, there's also a whole world of apps and other software that makes your poker player life way easier. For instance, if you just type in poker strategy in the App Store, you'll find tons of apps including other related useful apps that'll help you keep track of your game and bankroll. That concludes my short guide on how to improve your online poker game. If you have any questions or requests about the topic, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe for more gambling content. This was Canada Casino, and I'll see you guys next time.